Let's get into it today. We're diving deep into employee well-being.
Okay.
And you have sent us some really interesting stuff for this deep dive.
Yeah.
Tons of articles, research, most of it, I noticed, focusing on Northeast England.
Interesting.
About how companies are really kind of stepping it up.
Yeah.
Going beyond, that sort of classic, like, gym membership discount, right?
Right.
We're talking about supporting employees' mental, physical, and emotional health.
Yeah, and that's really, I think what's so fascinating about this whole thing is it's really shifting from just sort of like the wellness model to like a well-being model.
Okay.
And I think that distinction is really important because it's really saying that, a happy and healthy employee is a productive employee.
It's funny you should say that because I feel like well-being is becoming a little bit of a buzzword these days.
Yeah.
So in the context of like all this research you sent, what does that actually mean?
Yeah, no, you're right to call out the buzzword alert there. Because you see it everywhere. But I think what's interesting about the sources that you sent is we're really going beyond just this like kind of superficial level. We're really kind of getting down into the nitty-gritty about how companies are actually putting this into practice.
And especially in Northeast England. That was a theme I picked up on too of like, Northeast England, is there something going on there?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right? And, the sources don't explicitly lay out any one reason why this region in particular. I will say, though, a lot of the research does mention the economic shifts and industry changes that are happening in that region. So that might be part of it, Businesses are having to be more adaptable, more resilient. So maybe they're thinking, hey, we got to support our people.
We're in this together.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
It's not just, it's interesting too, because it's like investing in employee well-being, it's not just like a nice to have anymore.
Yes.
Right?
It's not just altruism.
It's a smart business move.
Exactly.
Like it actually makes dollars and cents, or I guess pounds and pence. Right. And I think the sources really drive that home with some of the statistics around it. Like, did you know that, companies with these kinds of robust well-being programs, they often see a significant decrease in absenteeism.
Oh, interesting.
Which is huge. We're talking about real cost savings there.
Wow. Yeah, when you put it that way. And it's not just about like, saving money though. It's about creating a workplace where people actually want to show up.
Totally.
And do their best work.
For sure.
Which kind of leads us, I think, to that sort of, the next big question, which is, what is it that makes these programs actually successful?
Yeah. What are those ingredients?
Like, what are the things?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure it's not as simple as like, free pizza Friday and calling it a day, right?
Right. There's got to be more to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not free pizza Friday.
It's got to be a little more than that.
Yeah. It's not just about throwing perks at employees and hoping for the best.
Right.
The sources you sent were really big on this idea of leadership involvement.
Yeah.
Like, not just saying, oh, yeah, we're all about well-being here, but actually, like, walking the walk.
Right, because actions speak louder than words, I guess, right?
Totally.
Like, if I see my manager, like, prioritizing their well-being,
exactly.
It sets the tone for the whole company.
Absolutely. It's sending a message that this is value, that you're valued as a person.
Totally.
Not just as, like, a cog in the machine.
It's about more than just the bottom line.
Right. And it's not just about what the higher-ups are doing either.
Oh, interesting.
The sources also talked about how important it is to actually involve employees in the process.
Oh, that's so smart.
Like actually ask them, hey, what do you need?
Yeah, what are your pain points?
Exactly. What would actually be helpful for you?
Not just assuming, right?
Yeah, because it's not one size fits all, right?
Totally.
Everyone's different.
Totally.
Everyone has different needs.
Customized care packages.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
And speaking of customized care, I know you were curious about mental health support.
Yes.
And let me tell you, the sources did not disappoint.
Okay.
We're talking everything from, like, your more traditional confidential counseling,
right,
EAP programs, to some really interesting stuff like mindfulness workshops, stress reduction techniques.
Oh, see, now you're speaking my language. Okay, stress reduction techniques.
Yeah, this is the cool stuff.
It's like, forget the stress ball. Let's give them actual tools.
Exactly. Give them some real strategies.
Yeah.
So one thing that really stood out to me was this focus on work-life balance.
Yeah.
Which is so crucial for mental health, right?
Dude.
We're talking things like flexible work arrangements.
Okay.
Time management workshops, even just encouraging people to take breaks.
Yes.
Like actually step away from your desk.
It's so important.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
You can't. It's true.
Yeah.
And that's where I think these programs have the potential to be so powerful.
Absolutely.
Because it's not just about, like, fixing problems after they've happened.
Right. It's about prevention.
It's about giving people the tools to actually manage their own well-being
Exactly.
proactively.
Yes, and this is where I think one of your sources, Anxious Minds, they're doing some really fascinating work in this area
Okay, tell me more.
with outdoor therapy programs.
Outdoor therapy, you had me at outdoor. Okay, so what is that? What does that look like?
So it's based on this really interesting idea that being in nature is good for you,
Okay,
like actually good for your mental and physical health.
okay.
So think like guided nature walks, adventure challenges, even team building activities, all set in the great outdoors.
So it's like taking that whole walk around the block to clear your head thing to like a whole other level.
Exactly.
I'm intrigued.
Right. It's really cool stuff.
Yeah.
And the research on it is really promising.
Okay, like what kind of do the sources actually say? Like, is this actually effective? Give me some details.
Yes.
So like, how do we know if any of this is actually working?
Yeah.
Can you really measure well-being?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
But I will say the sources you gave me had some pretty good answers to that.
Okay, good.
They talked a lot about how companies are actually measuring the impact of these programs,
Okay.
like looking at things like employee feedback surveys,
Okay.
participation rates in the different programs, even tracking overall job satisfaction scores.
So it's about like getting the full picture, not just like,
Yeah.
one data point here or
Yeah,
there.
exactly. It's holistic, right?
Okay, so what are they seeing?
I'm glad you asked because this is actually really exciting. When you look at the research, companies that are investing in their employees' well-being, they're actually seeing a real return on their investment. Yeah, they're seeing things like, those sick days going down,
Right.
employee engagement going up,
Yeah.
even higher retention rates.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Which really speaks to that, that idea that we were talking about before, which is
Yeah.
happy, healthy employees are good for business.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
It's not just a feel-good initiative. It actually makes a difference.
Smart.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, though, there's
Yes.
one more thing I wanted to touch on.
Yeah, what's that?
So a lot of these sources, they focus really heavily on the programs themselves, right?
Yeah, all the initiatives, yeah.
But we have to remember that, even the best program in the world, it's not going to work if the company culture is toxic.
Yeah, that's so true.
You can have all the wellness perks in the world,
Right.
but if the underlying environment is negative,
Yeah, it's not a magic bullet.
it's not, exactly.
Right.
And this actually made me think about something one of the sources said.
What's that?
They said that a truly healthy workplace is one where employees feel valued, respected, and empowered.
Oh, I love that.
And that goes way beyond any program. Right?
Way beyond. That's about company culture.
Exactly. It's about creating that culture of well-being where employees feel supported as people.
Yes, totally.
And that takes a real conscious effort, I think, from everyone involved.
From the top down.
From the top down, exactly.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap up our deep dive into employee well-being.
I agree.
We've gone through the what, the why, the how of creating a workplace where everyone can really thrive.
It's been great.
And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, thank you.
And we hope it's giving you some things to think about as you continue to explore this really important topic.
Absolutely.
Remember, a healthier, happier workplace, it is possible.
Sure.
It just takes a commitment to making it happen.
Totally agree.